Hello everybody, welcome to today's English class. I hope you are all feeling well. We are leaving the winter behind. The sun is getting hotter. The weather is getting better. The summer is coming. Isn't it great? Can you please tell me what time it is now? Yes, it's 4 p.m. Thank you. Now I'll read my papers. Okay? So, can you tell me what time it is now? Yes, it's 5 past 4 p.m. Thank you. It has been 5 minutes. So, I have been reading my papers since 4 p.m. Or I have been reading my papers for 5 minutes. So, did you mention we talked about an action that started in the past and took a certain period until now? Today, together, we will be learning present perfect progressive or continuous tense. We will be able to describe actions that started in the past and continued until now or a recent time with a specific time period and with the possibility to continue into the future. Now, please have a look at the timeline on the board. You'll see that we are talking about actions that started at a specific time in the past and has recently finished or continues to the present. Two possibilities: activity started in the past and continues to present right now, or activity has started in the past and has recently finished. So, where we use present perfect progressive tense to describe these kind of actions. In your first presentation sheet, you can see the structure of this tense. We use subject. After subject, we use has or have. After have, we use been and the ing form of the verb, the gerund form of the verb. For example, she has been swimming for 30 minutes. So, means that she has swimmed for 30 minutes and may continue swimming or may have finished the action. She has been swimming since 1. So there's a specific time period that describes the action and it has recently finished or will continue into the future. So we have seen the affirmative structure of the tense. So let's have a look at the negative. For negative, we add not after have. So we use subject, present form of have or has, add not, after not add been, and the ing form of the verb. For example, she hasn't been playing basketball very long. So that's the negative. To form yes or no questions, we take have to the beginning of the sentence. So we start with have, subject, been, and the ing form of the verb. Have they been winning a lot of games? So we can give yes or no short answers to that. Yes, they have. No, they haven't. We can also form open-ended questions using who or why. We use who or why at the beginning of the sentence. After that we use have or has, then been, and the ing form of the verb. So that's also the question form. On your third sheet, there are some verbs that you can see. These verbs define status or situation, which don't represent action. So they are not normally used in present progressive tense or present perfect progressive tense, which are like see, feel, recognize, hear, smell. You see, these verbs represent status or a situation, not an action. Don't worry, you may have been confused. You may be confused up to this stage, but with further description and more exercises, I guess you will clear the subject in your minds. Don't worry, we'll cover all the subject. Now, in our fourth sheet, we can see why we use present perfect progressive. Why, what do we describe with present perfect progressive? For example, we emphasize the continuation of an action that started in the past and continues. For example, I have been waiting for your call all morning. We also use present perfect progressive to talk about an action that may or may not be completed. We don't know if it's completed or not. For example, she has been doing her homework. She started at a specific time. She is doing and maybe she will do in the future. We also talk about how long something has been in progress to define a specific time period. For example, he has been riding all morning. We can also describe a situation that is more temporary and continues into present. For example, she has been working here for a couple of weeks. So she is still working and may work into the future. We also use present perfect progressive to talk about evidence in the present that shows an action was happening in the recent past. For example, what smells so good? Oh, I have been making cookies. So you see, I'm making cookies and they smell so good. I started in the past and I cooked. Maybe I'm finished with cooking or maybe they are still in the oven cooking. Now let's see our examples in the practice. Let's look at our first example. You blank study for 5 straight hours. There's a specific time period that started 5 hours ago. So we use you have been studying for 5 straight hours. You have started 5 hours ago and you're studying. Maybe you just finished or you will continue studying into the future. So let's look at the second example. I blank think about changing my major. So before we had think in the list that is not normally used with present perfect progressive, but there are some verbs that can be used also in this tense. There are some exceptions. Think, but here think describes an action, not a status. For example, I think means I'm in the position of thinking something, but here this is an action. So I have been thinking about changing my major. Have been thinking here is used to describe a general activity in progress, recently, lately. Now, I want you to make the second practice sheet for your own. I'm waiting for you. After you finish, we will go over it together. So, let's start together. 1. My friend worked on the project for 2 weeks. My friend has been working on the project for 2 weeks. Here, the time is specific. Second example. Kate looked for her bag for 10 minutes. Kate has been looking for her bag for 10 minutes. And third one. You sleep all day again? You have been sleeping all day again? You have been sleeping all day again? Let's look at the fourth example. Why you listen to this song since yesterday? Why have you been listening to the song since yesterday? Why have you been? So you see this question form. We have changed the structure. Why have you been listening to this song since yesterday? So the fifth example is also a question form. How long have you been learning English? How long have you been learning English? Thank you. Now, before you continue with our third practice sheet, I want you to read the grammar section once again to remember the structure, to refresh your minds, and then you can do the practice section. I'm waiting for you. Okay, I guess you have finished the exercise as well. So, can you please read me one by one each example? You may start from the front desk and go back. Please start. Yes. Yes, thank you. All your answers are correct. Congratulations. The fourth sheet will be your homework. I want you to do it at home and bring it to our next class. I hope it will be an easy task for you to do at home. So I'll check your answers in our next class. Today, as our class activity, I want you to form up groups of 5 people. So split into groups of 5 people. And what I want from you is to write down 5 sentences using present perfect progressive. So in affirmative form. So I'm waiting for you to finish. So I guess you're all finished. Now I want you to read your sentences with one person from each group. So the rest of the class can decide if the sentence and the time using is correct or not. So you may start reading. So class, do you think their sentences are correct? Do you think they used the form correctly? Yes, the first group has done very well. So I'm waiting for the other groups. Okay, so yours are also well. And for the last group. So I believe you have all done very well. Congratulations. So we're almost finished. I believe this was an effective class. I hope most of you have understand the subject and clear with it. For what I want from you now is to write a tweet that describes your understanding this lesson understanding of this lesson using the colors of a traffic light. Which traffic color light would you be in means of understanding this lesson? Please write a tweet about it. I guess you understood, but let me clarify. If you understood the lesson well, you are green light. If you are not sure about it, you are yellow light. And if you have no idea about this lesson, you are red light. So please write a tweet about what traffic light color you are in basis of understanding this lesson. Okay, I'm waiting for you. So that's great. From your tweets, I see most of you feel green. That's an excellent situation. but some of your friends may have difficulties. That's normal. So you can do more exercises and improve your understanding. Let me do one example with you. Here, how long blank in Africa? What shall we use here? Yes, how long have you been living in Africa? This is a question form. So we use how long have you been living in Africa? So how can I answer? I can answer like this. I have been living in Africa since 1998. Or I have been living in Africa for 5 years. So I have lived for 5 years up to now, and I may continue living or I may move from this moment on. So I guess you have a better understanding now. So I thank you all for your participation and listening to this lesson. I hope you all feel better and comfortable with the present perfect, progressive, or continuous tense. So, see you in our next lesson. Goodbye.